Hey everyone, welcome back to our game of Dragonlance. We are resuming our game after just taking down a horrific, monstrous, slad-like creature that had assaulted us, along with a much less threatening version of it. I believe one of our characters theorized that this mysterious monster was in fact the individual tasked with inspecting some weird glowing magical artifact.
Through metagaming, but yes.
Yeah, we are metagaming that, I think. But we did find out that this fortress was in fact attacked by strange mutant-like monsters that had swarmed up from the lower levels. And we discovered this information from the individuals we had rescued who were holed up in a barricaded room. One, Yerkal, who is a Divinasti Sea Elf, and another character, Roan, who is a human, who claims to be from a settlement out in the wastes called Heart's Hollow. Now, there was something wrong with Roan when we first met him. He was incredibly sick, and our party couldn't figure out what ailed him. Your call mentioned that he was fine up until very recently, where he started succumbing to these sweat-drenched fits of pain and anguish. And despite her best efforts, Josephine wasn't able to figure out what ailed him, perhaps turning towards an ailment of the mind that might have reared its ugly head as a result of the stress of surviving the slaughter that took place here. But it was through Elafi's menstruations that we discovered that he was, in fact, infested by a parasite which was squirming around through his entrails. And with a restoration, or a lesser restoration ritual, we were able to burn out this impurity, slowly working its way through Roan, and probably save his life. And he was incredibly grateful for it, even offering to repay the characters if they would escort him back to his home. He offered 1,000 gold pieces for seeing him safely to Heart's Hollow. But it was while talking to these individuals, we also learned that there were Divinasti Sea Elves being held at a camp where most of the slave labor was brought here from. And well, knowing that the place wasn't entirely safe as of yet, our party decided to leave both Yerkal and Roan in their barricaded room, descending down below where they did eventually fight those monsters I brought up earlier. One of them was a particularly crafty spell weaver that threatened to knock our characters into a pitch dark pit by burning away the bridges that they attempted to cross. Luckily, nobody fell into that pit, though it would surely have been a fun story. And that is where we will
met our new characters.
And that is where we will begin our session, with our players able to see the dimly glowing shard of ominous red rock on the opposite side of this crevasse. We had to pull our map back from the version we had before, so we can't see that one of these bridges has collapsed. We'll just imagine that that has continued forward. And I would like to say, welcome back, everyone. It's good to have you here. And yeah, you currently stand over the bloodied and broken body of this strange frog-like monstrosity. Let me share with you its picture once again.
Ooh, not that.
Let's close that.
Yep.
Right now.
I shared the record. Ha! That's all right. Stop sharing. There we go.
Ooh, did we get a picture last time? We didn't, did we?
I think that was
No.
the picture we got of the one on this side, wasn't it?
Yes, but I don't think that
I don't remember
has its
seeing
own picture.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that
double
one was
checking.
green.
This is sweet.
Let me pull up the encounter. Yeah, it's not art unique to the adventure, but more alike to the thing you did.
Mhm.
All but confirming to our more world-weary players here what these things were in fact.
So player-wise, on my
Mr.
to-do
Toad?
list was looting things, figuring out what that shard across the room is and what they were doing. Still need to give Thrag the blade thing when we rest. Frixis and Alafi might be infected because we were not feeling good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have the rescue people upstairs and potentially exploring the pit, but depends if we want to take that risk.
How do we heal? How would we cure them again?
Magic. Just in
Ah.
general.
I love the catch-all term. It's just magic.
Lesser Restoration worked last time.
Yeah.
It did.
Well, I believe both of the big slod died on this side of the bridge, right?
They
Yes.
did.
Yes.
One
Then-
is like here-ish, and one is next to me.
Yeah.
On the stairs, yeah, I remember. We fought on the stairs.
I'd also like, I think Alafi has the blade. I think you picked it up after I had, like, not picked it up during the fight.
Oh yes, I hand you back
Yeah. I'll take that.
your dancing sword.
Cool.
I just didn't want it to get kicked into the pit.
Do appreciate that. I don't know. Should we loot these things? See what they're carrying?
Probably.
I will root the red slot.
I will loot the green slot.
All right. So, looting both of these bodies, you find nothing of use on the red slot. However, the green slot does, in fact, still have some pockets and apparels from when it was, in fact, more human. And digging through them, you find a collection of items. You find an old book that appears to be well worn, and you find a pouch when opened, revealing a sack of orange gemstones. Then you also see that nestled in this pack is a wand.
Oh. Frixis, I found something. A wand of some kind.
Well, I don't know who could make use of that, but we'll have to identify us at some point.
Not sure. I've never seen a Laffy use a wand. A Laffy!
Only known me for like 3 weeks.
It's been more than 3 weeks. It's been like 5 months.
Has it been that long?
No.
Okay.
It has been roughly a month.
Thrag's sense of time is a little.
Short-lived races have
Yes.
that problem.
Thrag is a short. The Lions are a short-lived race. Anyway, I will hand the wand to Phrixus. Is there anything else on his body?
Nope, it was just those 3 items.
Can you repeat the other 2? I got fixated on the wand.
A pouch of orange gemstones and a journal of some description.
A journal and orange gemstones.
Are they the same kind of glowy gemstones that are across the way?
Yeah, are they?
No. Although they do appear to be worth a good amount of money, they do not glow or carry the same sinister hue that the glowing object at the other end of the room does.
They happen to have eyeballs in them.
No.
Damn.
They're eggs! Eat them!
Well, that's a spell component I need. Um, let's take a look at this journal then.
Alright. It would take a few minutes to read through all of the pages. Would you like to take that time?
Is everybody okay if I take that time?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Alright, so we'll see Phrixus flip through these journal pages. What was anyone else doing?
I am going to change patterns of stars, switch to chalice form, and cast some good berries and start handing them out to everyone because we're all not feeling well.
It's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Thrag is okay. He's not as damaged.
Let me actually look at my spell list.
We should take a short
My
rest.
spell. We should take a short rest. That is a good plan.
And on the short rest, Josephine will just be eating some food and
All right.
relaxing.
Well, if we're taking a short rest, Thrag, I think this might suit you better. He'll hand the sheathed dancing sword to Thrag.
Are you sure? This is very valuable.
I'm quite sure. I have other things that compensate for my range, and you're, it seems that you're always in need of making an attack at range. And this could help with that.
If only if you are certain. I do not know what to say.
Yeah, I
Thank
already
you.
got other items. This could work well.
Oh, very well. I shall attune myself to it.
Excellent.
How do we transfer that item into my inventory?
Jacob might be able to take the item out of his
Yeah.
inventory and then put it into the parcel window for the party. At least I think you could.
Yeah, I should be able to.
It's not letting me for some reason.
Could you put it into... if it's in party inventory,
the
could you
wrong
pull it out
thing.
of there?
There it is. There we go. I didn't grab the link bit.
Ah, that'll do it.
And party inventory, where would that be?
It's under the party sheet.
second
It's the 3 little human heads.
Inventory. Dancing longsword. Okay.
You should be able to drag that directly into your inventory.
And I give 5 good berries to Thrag and 5 to me. So I don't want to use up all of our hit dice if possible.
Where am I at? Will you use a hit dice?
Yeah, I was just getting us down to a point where one hit die will mostly heal all of us. That's the goal.
Did that not work?
Okay, that's close enough.
Does anybody know how to like unequip a weapon like so it's not visible in your action bar?
The action bars, I think you have to drag stuff to. So I'm unsure there. So I tried to roll a hit dice and it rolled, but then didn't apply anything. Am I grabbing the wrong spot?
You just have to grab the die out of the hit die thing.
Yeah, that's what I did. There it goes. That's good enough.
Oh, and drag.
Uh,
Reduce your damage to
just max it out.
16.
Okay, there you
And then
go.
we're taking. Yeah.
Oh, that's how. Okay. Battle axe.
Now, was anybody going to be messing around with that wand during this rest?
Good question. I already said I was reading the journal, so if somebody else has a...
I'll mess around with the wand during the rest. Why not?
Okay.
Seems appropriate.
Do you have a spell to identify it, or are you going to attune to it to figure out what it is?
Probably just attune to it to see what it is, and if it's something that someone else can use, we can. Someone else can do it. Tune to it later.
All right.
I may have a cursed wand on my hands.
No. Speaking of curses, Josh rolling that 8 yesterday was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty. It's a throwback.
It's on brand.
It can't be a throwback if it's an ever constant curse.
It's true.
It's just funny to see it working. Right. So, resting with the wand, you do discover that it is in fact a wand of the War Mage +1.
Ooh,
That
that's
is
really
actually
good.
incredibly useful for me.
Very nice.
Archer form just got an upgrade.
I don't know if it counts for archer form.
It wouldn't? Aw.
I don't remember the rules for Wand of the War Mage. I have to look.
It's spell attack rolls.
Oh, it is a spell attack. Yeah, it would.
Ha!
Okay,
Well, it is in the parcel items now. Let's see. So, Frixis, reading through the journal, you do discover that this is in fact the personal journal of Verusia, who is the individual that your Dynasty friend mentioned headed this expedition. While reading through the journal, you do pick up a couple important bits of information. One, that Verusia was in fact following orders from their commander, a head honcho in the dragon army by the name of Balathian. This also isn't the first time you've heard that name.
Balathian?
Balathian. Yep.
Okay.
Spelled Belephaeion.
Ignore that.
And you've also learned that Verusia's mission here was to investigate the monster-creating stone that was unearthed within Sunward Fortress. a stone that would be known as the Spawning Shard. Or at least this is what Veruja has decided to call it. Furthermore, it appears that he was trying to manipulate the stone to allow him to turn other races into Draconians to bolster the Red Dragon Army's ranks. Now, as the journal continues, it begins to become more and more sloppy until eventually Veruja mentions that he has become aware that the Spawning Shard has been changing him. It appears he was not able to prevent this transformation from taking hold as the notes become completely nonsensical. And, well, you killed him.
Oh.
You monster.
He'll relay this information to the rest of the party for sure.
Huh.
Does anybody remember what Balafian? It sounds familiar to me.
Not a name I remember. Not off the top of my head, anyway.
I need a sec here.
Elafi, Thrag, does this name ring a bell with either of you?
Can you repeat the name?
What was
Balafian.
the name?
Balafian. Can I roll a history check to see if I know what that name?
I need to do something. I will be back.
Okay. And yeah, feel free to roll that history check.
Yeah. Come on, -1. That's advantage. Doesn't matter. It's a 2. I got a 2. Why it gave me advantage.
Ah, all right. Well, I don't think you remember.
I don't remember.
Would it be someone relevant that I would think of? From character background? Would that be something that Josephine would have run around, or no? If it's too obscure, I won't roll.
I don't think it is too obscure for common knowledge, and it's also information that was present before Josephine became part of the
That
group.
would make sense. Then
Okay,
Josephine
I
would-
might as well roll something then, I guess, since I'm the only other one who may have an idea.
You were here. Yeah, that's true.
I don't remember.
Knowledge lost to time and some death.
Unfortunately, the name means nothing.
I'm sure. I'm
Okay.
sure the ever-present following Shadow will know, but
Okay, really quick. I'm trying to add an ability for the Night of Solemnia attack, so we don't have to do weird things with it anymore. The only thing I need to figure out is how to give myself advantage on the effect. And I don't know, like, because I got away with, like, dragging a d8 in for the damage, but I don't know how to give myself advantage in the sheet.
I'll be real, neither do I.
Neither do I.
Damn.
But the good news is you could always just hit the advantage button before pressing the ability.
It's true.
good. It's a possibility.
Self-expand never. 1 round.
I'm going to go take a look at this diamond.
I don't recommend touching it.
I didn't say I was going to touch it. I did preference look.
It might get you that way too.
I'm simply going to look.
So, this close to it, you can see that it does glow quite clearly. A slightly shimmering, pulsing red aura. that casts a hauntingly eerie series of shadows in the shallow pit where it has been excavated. You see that there are wheelbarrows, pickaxes, and shovels scattered around from where the excavation crews had been doing their labor. You don't quite feel comfortable around it, especially after hearing the notes that I almost called him Firaxis. Phrixus read through concerning it being able to transform people who linger around it for too long.
Can I just make a cursory perception, history, something of a kind to understand what I'm looking at? Maybe pulling from previous knowledge, things I've read?
Absolutely.
What kind of check would you prefer?
I would think, depending on the knowledge you're gleaming, if you're looking for more magically based knowledge, I would recommend Arcane, or perhaps History if you want to recall anyone encountering these before.
Are we looking at the stone?
Yeah.
I have made my way over to look at it.
I would assist you if you'd like.
Well, I do not command your feet, Phrixus. You can take them where you will.
I make the same comment to Phrixus as Phrixus crosses over to look at it, as I don't recommend touching it, and looking might cause it too. And I'm staying over here not looking at it.
There's a 10 for you.
With a 10, you wouldn't be able to recall commonly excess knowledge about what this kind of thing is. Though you do know, at least vaguely, that slods are extraplanar creatures that aren't native here. So you can imagine that perhaps this rock was brought in from another plane entirely. How it got left here is a question for another day, perhaps.
It would certainly be irresponsible of us to leave this thing here. My knowledge of it is quite limited, but it did seem to corrupt and create those creatures. It may be best that it is destroyed, perhaps cast down into this chasm to no longer affect any other poor soul to come across it. That is my advice. Better we not leave it here, lest we be responsible for those who fall to it after. And I will step away from it. Await the party's decision.
I would agree.
Perhaps we should destroy it.
That is what I'm saying. Simply...
I don't want to touch it.
Oh, we need not. There's a wheelbarrow here and enough sticks among us, I imagine, to push it into the wheelbarrow, heft it out, and hoist it over the side, never to be seen again.
This pit surely has a bottom to it.
Well, it will be inaccessible, and I'm not sure what means we would have to destroy it. I do not wish to use spell power upon it, as I have limited resources already.
If you believe it's extra planar, that's where banishment would be the best way to do it. If it worked on a rock, I don't know if that would happen.
I think that only works on creatures.
I do not know many who can cast such magic, Phrixus, so unless that is something in your armor.
At the moment, I do not believe so.
Well, there is another way to cast banishment, and it is done with a wheelbarrow.
Does anybody have dispel magic?
No.
Well, I'm out of ideas. Wheelbarrow it is.
I could just hit it with my sword until it breaks.
If you wish to try, I would not stop you, but perhaps some experimentation is necessary. Some cantrips, some swords. Hopefully it does not react to being attacked. It's not a sentient thing. We know very little, which is why I simply say dropping it might be safest. It could explode, for all we know.
It could explode for all we know. Picture Thrag with a sword like raised above his head, just about to hit it. Second thoughts.
Like I said, we have very little information, but I do believe in its currently incredibly accessible state, it's more dangerous than it would be at the bottom of a pit.
That's fair. I could try Eldritch Blasting it a little bit. Here and there.
Yes, try that.
I will stand thoroughly back.
Yeah, that one. Why don't you come even on this side of the bridge? Just in case.
That's a great idea. I'll make my way over there.
I'm hiding up the stairs and like peeking down
Just go
past
over here.
the edge of the stairs.
Okay, everybody come back. Okay.
Fire away!
I have a good range here.
Yeah. Please, fire away.
I'm gonna Eldritch Blast the crystals.
Here we go.
All right, so the crystal is rather large. You can see it despite the fact that it is in a pit. However, you're making a ranged attack on something that has 3/4 cover, so I'm going to have to ask for you to make an attack roll.
Just make like 20 of them.
Yeah.
We don't really have a time constraint right now.
Yes, but it would be funny if he misses 5 or 6 of them.
It would be.
Did we
Just
complete
imagine
our
them
short
around.
rest?
I imagine so.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't reset a few things as I stepped away. Where is my Eldritch Blast button? There it is. Okay. I don't know what I'm targeting currently, but
All right.
that's 1 of 2 that happens. And that's 2 of 2.
Excellent. That was in.
Alex, can you look at my ability that I created and see if, like...
We aren't able to see each other's character sheets.
Oh, snap. Alright.
All right. So, your Eldritch Blast careens across the room, arcing deftly over the edge of the pit, slamming into the red stone and ricocheting harmlessly off into a nearby wall. You know you hit it dead on, and there was no chance that you couldn't have damaged it if it were possible. It is a durable material.
No reason to waste any more shots then. Not that.
Well
that's-
then.
Seems quite resistant. I've seen your Eldritch Blast crack the armor of a soldier, so.
Well,
Wheelbarrow
could-
it is?
I could keep trying, but
Oh, there's no need to show off. We all know you're quite powerful. Let's simply cast it away, shall we? I will need
Right.
everyone's help, Thrag, you especially. You will be wielding the wheelbarrow.
Here, 1 second.
What do I have on me to poke this thing? The mace.
Scattered around, you do see that you have a plethora of tools available, whether it be pickaxes, shovels,
Oh,
or
perfect.
wedges.
I grab a couple of shovels, I hand one over to Phrixus. I say, help me push it into the,
Yeah, just with a cursory probing of how heavy it is, this thing weighs a ton. It will take the entire party working in tandem to even move it.
Everyone grab a shovel to work together to get this in this here wheelbarrow.
I start digging a trench, like the basically slide style trench, down this way instead, towards the pit. I think that'll be easier.
Well, it's very time consuming.
So is trying to push this thing into a wheelbarrow.
Would
You
we?
do know that it will take a considerable amount of effort if you were doing this with a normal stone, but if you are trying not to even touch it, it would require a significant amount of effort and a reliance only on tools that could prove detrimental.
From the journal, did it say at all how they were doing things? Like,
Pouring through the journal to find information like that would take some more time to study specifically, as you were skimming it over half an hour and there were quite a few pages. But you do know, roughly, that Veruja wasn't expecting to be altered by just being around the crystal. He had been subjecting people to physically touching it.
but he was altered.
Yes, he was.
So I think even just being around this thing, it's bad. Touching it's worse.
Could we just collapse something higher up and let this chamber sort of seal itself?
Interesting thought.
You do know that with the construction or excavation equipment present, you could at the very least destroy the wooden bridges or even the stairwell leading to this area and make it a lot more annoying to traverse to the space.
If it is too heavy, let's simply collapse the way and say we did what we could.
We could put up a sign.
I think a sign would be rather redundant, as those looking for it may. You know, it doesn't matter. It's not my problem. Other people want to find corruption and evil. It's up to them. So, I will just let it be what it is.
Well, our primary focus here was to figure out what this magical disturbance was, correct? So that our friend could rule
it
out.
out.
Perhaps this was the disturbance?
Or was it that we needed to end this disturbance?
You do recall that he specifically needed to know what it was so that he could choose to ignore that magical energy in his investigations, or rather compensate for it. If you could get rid of it, I'm sure that would make, well, I'm not sure. You could imagine that if it were gone, it would make it easier than anything else, but he did specifically just want to know what it was.
Well, our mission here is accomplished, I believe. So we can leave it, do what we can to impede anyone from going over there.
Let's simply knock out the bridges. I doubt a collapse. If somebody really wants to get to this thing, they will do so. So the bridges is at least a deterrent, and I can leave here with a safe conscience.
I'm just worried the dragon army will return.
Perhaps they will. Perhaps they will get to the gem. But lifting it out of there is far too dangerous. Destroying it is not an option. I think we're left with little options.
Perhaps our two compatriots up top might have an idea.
Perhaps. Let's inquire with them what they think we should do with the gem.
Well, the original guy was infected with whatever that sickness was by digging into this area, I believe. So
I lean up the wheelbarrow against it and carve into the bottom, "Evil stone, don't touch."
All right.
And then continue across the bridge.
Excellent. And between the group's repertoire of magic, I won't make you explain to me how you destroy the bridge. But
Before
if
we
anybody has
destroy
a
the
unique
bridge,
idea.
Thrag wanted to ask the people upstairs what they thought about the gem before we destroy the bridge.
Yeah, my thought is maybe they have some like form of explosives or like they, you know.
Okay. Well, would we like to head up to the next floor to ask them?
Yeah.
All right. So our party ascends the stairwell back to the second floor of this fortress building and returning to the barricaded doorway where we know our associates are waiting. And clearing the barricade, you find Yerkal and Roan patiently listening and waiting for news. You hear her voice speaking through the barricade as you clear it. You've dealt with them then? Yes?
Yes,
Indeed.
They are all dead, but there is now the matter of the crystal.
Oh, you see, Ron, I told you things would be fine. Now we can leave. Dealing with the crystal, I don't imagine anyone should. I would say sooner to just leave it and forget about this place entirely.
Wish there was a way we could bring down the at least the lower level, but you might be right. I just don't like the idea of the dragon army getting their hands on it anyway. Though it seems very destructive, they might just find their own ruin by using it.
Considering what happened to the guards here, I would welcome the dragon army to try and use it. They would lose control of themselves in the process, I think.
All right, yeah, I'm all for blowing it, just blowing the bridge up.
Yeah, we can do that.
I frolic downstairs and Druid grab the bridge and continue back upstairs.
All right. And with the ruins of the bridge crumbling into that seemingly bottomless crevice, our party is at least now safe and secure in their conscience that they have done what they can to make sure that no one else succumbs to it. At least if Thrag decides to move away from that glowing crystal.
No.
Thrag's putting it in his backpack.
I'm falling. No.
Calmly jumps across empty pit.
Proving that what we've done is insufficient.
This does like a double backflip.
Dragon army could just fly over there, but like you said, it'd probably be bad for him. So what does it matter? This is probably helping the average civilian more than anything. If anyone stumbles across it, explorers, whatever.
Well, as you return to the second floor, you will see that Yerkal and Rune are gathering what few belongings they have and preparing to depart. Rowan will look to your group as he hoists a small sack over his shoulders. The offer still stands, you know, if you want to take me to Heart's Hollow, but I'm sure I'll find my way well enough. I do know these lands rather well.
Probably should take them back for safety purposes.
It might be a good idea.
Is it north of here?
It is. It's on a plateau.
Plus, people may know about the plateau that we need to go to. We already discovered it wasn't the plateau we were going to.
Did we? Okay. Good. There's one other plateau where we know a Red Dragon Army camp is holding some EOs that, if we're around that area, we'd like to do something about, but
that would be Camp Carrion Clay. Your call will interject. That's where I came from.
We can take you back if you want.
No, but you're incredibly capable. If you would, there are others of my kind enslaved there. If you could free them, I and they would be incredibly grateful. I know that our head priest should be there as well.
Oh yeah, she's one of the sea elves. We told her where the sea elves are, right?
Yes, I do. I'm aware of the shrine you speak of. I'm glad that we still have people there. I will be making my way there as well after we part ways.
Right on. Is that the only other, or did our, what was it, Dalamar? What was his name?
Oh, the elf?
Yeah.
I do believe it is Dalamar. I'm double checking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Did Dalamar need us to head back to him immediately? Was the other thing? He seemed rather urgent that we
Well, I think
do this.
it was more of a escort him home after, since he was taken prisoner a long time ago.
No, the other one. The elf that we met that has the magic powers to sense ley lines.
Oh yeah.
You did recall that he was going to be studying Wackenreth, and although he didn't express a timetable, you can imagine he would be eager to finally make a discovery out here.
Right.
I think we isn't that on the way though to where it was pointed out? Because
So
I'm
Sort of.
we are on the East Coast. We were
Yeah.
planning our next thing to be, because that was all three of the
'cause I think his
original places that we had, right?
yeah his town was here, right? Like one of these hexes.
Which he?
The guy that were rescued.
Oh, Rune. Yeah, let me double check just to be sure.
I think that one was our destination one.
No, this one is our destination one.
Oh, with the lake
The
on
single
it.
lake. Yeah. And then Wackenreth was like here. Here.
You will see, while you're inspecting the map, Rune will point it out. He says here is where Heart's Hollow is. He also calls the plateau High Hunt. And then your call will point out that Camp Carrion Clay is here. And Wackenreth is here.
That's where I thought I remembered things. So it's not like super out of the way to go to Wackenreth.
Yeah,
we could
go to Wackenrath and then
his town,
his
drop him
town.
off.
Yep.
Get
And then
information
go to
from
the
them
camp.
about the other plateau. Go to the other plateau.
Sounds good. I like this plan.
Agree.
So if he's still at Wackenrath, that is.
It was a fancy place. He probably will be.
Shall we get out of this dreary place then?
I say it's about time.
Is there anything of their materials here that you recommend we take a look at before we leave? Any loot in the camp that we should know about?
Do you remember that any of the dragon people having valuable things before they turned into red monsters?
Only Veruja really had anything of note. Perhaps some of the guards might have had some trinkets or baubles, but nothing I'm familiar with. You would also know that you've roughly scoured this place. There's no treasures loosely packed in a corner that you've missed.
Hey. We're not loot goblins. We're respectable adventurers.
Respectable adventurers are effective loot goblins
And murder hobos, but
and tomb raiders.
We're not murder hobos.
At least not that one.
Yet.
As we are leaving, I make another sign for the outside that says that it was thoroughly looted. And nothing of value.
Right, of course. And that wouldn't make people think that it's obviously a misdirection and it's full of loot. All right, so our party departs the strange leaning tower on a peninsula overlooking the ocean and return to the wasteland proper.
Oh, was there a way up to the top of the tower? Like, 'cause we're only in the lower section.
Yes, you were in fact in the middle parts of the tower, and you can see that there are balconies and open floor plans at near the top of the structure, but you would need some kind of climbing equipment to get up to them, or perhaps a spell.
I do have fly.
I do have a leftover. We did have a short rest, so I do have 2 wild chips too, if we need them.
I feel like that is less resource intensive than me casting one of my 2 spell slots total.
Yeah.
Up to you, if you'd like to check those out.
There was no way to even get up there from the inside, so they're probably not super important.
Or they have special, more secluded loot, something that the dragons did not touch.
And the dragons seem to have been ignoring them, and they can fly?
Not all of them. At least I think.
We've definitely run into ones that can. It's not worth it. We could have multiple encounters.
All right. So our party did get here in the later part of the day. So you will be able to make it 1 hex before you will need to camp. And I won't make you roll for whether or not a random encounter happens as a result of that. I will simply move you here. Now, your party said that you were going to be heading to Wackenrath first. At that point, your call will deviate from the group and begin her own journey down to the Sea Lord's Shrine. Rune will stick with the party, as you've told him that you will take him there after you stop over at Wackenrath. And you will know that even in the short period of time, the short distance traveled, Rune is very comfortable in this terrain and walks alongside Alafi and even offers some constructive advice on how to navigate the territory. If you hadn't had the Sea Lord's blessing, you imagine that his presence in your group would have been a considerable boon. But you are able to stop for the night as the sun crests the horizon, sinks into the horizon. And I would like to know, aside from what anybody would like to do in their free time before sleep, what the watches will be for the evening.
I will take first watch.
I'll take second.
I'll take the last one like I usually do.
That leaves me at 3.
Excellent. And what would anyone like to do while you are making camp, if anything?
Nothing of great detail. Not from me.
I suggest to our friend who's been walking with me this whole time that he should really talk to Frixus about updating our map with anything he knows about.
We need some new marks on there. It's very unmarked currently. It got wet and it washed off all the ink.
I guess the only thing I would ask about is if he knows of any other arches, like the one that we found
It's a good question.
somewhat down there.
Or any major cities that
Out here? That would
possibly
be...
lost names.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
that one.
Wreck
You know,
and
the
Rest.
reason we're out here. Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I do know where it is. I'm glad you asked.
Thank
The
you.
city that our friend in Wackenrath was looking for. Lodi 1.
Well, unfortunately, he isn't familiar with the city that you all are looking for, but he is aware of the one he lives in. So, once you get to Hollowheart, he would be happy to make introductions for you. That being said, he can educate you on some of the local regions and the names that they've been given. I will update the map with them right now.
Much appreciated.
His town, the people in his towns have last names? That's the question.
I can only do all of them, huh?
Oh, it's all or nothing on the waypoints. That's unfortunate.
All right, so you should see the names of the regions now.
Not yet.
Oh, here. Are you in the Northern Wastes map?
Yep.
I am.
The unkeyed one?
Yes.
Oh. Do you know?
Nope. I could also try to reset it and see.
Although it updates in real time for me, maybe you would need to reset it.
Alright. I will give it a try. Images. Yep. Nothing.
Okay. Well, in that case, if you point to a region of the map, you will most likely know it by a name. I can give it to you.
Are any of the names related to lost names?
No. They appear
Okay,
to be
cool.
named over the, notable features of the area, such as High Hunt, places where Hollowheart is, or Barrow Ridge, the canyons to the west of High Hunt, or the
Is there
Eastern
one-
Maze.
There's one called the Lost City.
Hold on. He's checking again. No Lost City region, unfortunately.
Ah, okay. And none called like Magical Death Pit or anything?
What's the area that you guys avoid?
We should probably go there.
Nobody goes there. It's too dangerous. Ah, all right.
There
everybody.
it is.
I smell a quest area.
I think something's there.
No, it's too dangerous. Everyone who goes there dies.
That is what we're looking for.
But you'll die. It's too dangerous.
It may die someday.
maybe- Or maybe it's a paradise. Everyone who goes there just never wants to
Never
leave.
wants to return, yeah.
Well, all right. So you are now far more educated on the Northern Wastes than you were before. And luckily for the party, nothing accosts you while you are resting for the evening, allowing you to begin the day fresh-faced and restored. And I will give you that long rest right now.
We need to do supplies.
I will need rolls for people who are going to be scavenging for food and water as you make your way west. I will also need from our leader a survival check for navigation, as well as for you to roll for me a
Yep.
I think it was a D10 with advantage. I'm double checking.
Survival.
Who's all rolling for survival?
29. So that one's good.
Whoever is searching for food and water, respectively.
It was you and Josephine.
Okay.
I am doing water. I got a 22.
And I am the backup food and water.
I will do. I will do food. I will roll my survival check.
And yes, it is a D10 with advantage, please, Olafi.
I can do that.
Got a 15.
That's not a 10.
Oh, wait.
That's a 10.
Yeah, just a normal D10. And then give me a survival check with advantage after that.
Oh, okay. I did the survival check with one survival check with advantage. I need another one.
Yes, that was for navigation. This is for something else.
Okay.
All
That
right.
was slightly worse.
Okay, so you do know that with the weather holding as it should for the rest of the day, the wash will be low, the canyons will be dry, and it will be that way all day. So there will be no safer time to travel through the area you've now learned to be named the Eastern Maze than today.
Perfect.
Now, that being said, you will just make it to Wackenrath before you will need to rest again. And boop boop. I need to roll. Mm-hmm.
Solid 2.
Okay. And all right. You make it to Wackenrath in the evening. And you do see that Dalamar has, in fact, set up a small camp at the base of the structure. You recognize the unique... oh, crap. They're not...
Sylvanesti?
What's the... Sylvanesti, thank you.
Mhm.
You recognize the Sylvanesti embroidery on the tent, as well as the figure currently standing outside of the tower, inspecting it from the floor, weaving magic to, well, perhaps his own ends. Maybe this, in fact, is the ritual he uses to read the ley lines. Either way, you interrupt whatever he's doing as you approach his camp. He turns to greet all of you. Well, I didn't expect to see you so soon. I imagine you have good news?
Okay news. At least good for our purposes.
Found an evil rock.
Indeed. Evil rock. Not what you're looking for.
Interesting. Could you expand on Evil Rock for me?
Did we, like... ever do a check so we know it's slot?
I did a check on it. I believe it's extraplanar is all I can understand, and that from what Frixus here has discovered from a journal, it seems to have the ability to corrupt people and turn them into monsters.
Toad monsters. Fish.
Yes.
Toad monsters.
Oh, speaking of which, we probably should have restorationed if we haven't before the end of the day.
I have not the ability, unfortunately. My
Oh.
spell power is all but depleted.
Well, it's the next day.
It is true. This is the next day.
Oh.
You have long rested.
You are correct, because I did give you that, so. Of course I can do so. There's just 2 people?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's 2 second-level spell slots. I will spend those and restore my companions, removing their sickness, as I did.
Restore magic. Corrupting transformative crystals. Frog-like things. These definitely does sound slotty in nature.
What?
Very well could be. We killed everything that was there, but the rock still remains, so
There's
I'm
no
guessing...
lettuce anywhere.
A salad?
Slot.
You will have to.
I believe those are the
explain.
creatures. They are bestial creatures from another plane. Difficult to control, but useful for certain mages. They have a tendency to infest people that they plague so that they can turn them into, well, more of them. It's good that you have the abilities to deal with those tadpoles. Though, generally, it does take a considerable amount of time for the tadpole to gestate, of course.
Lines up
Cool.
with what we learned. I'm sure you are correct. Do you know the danger of these things? Were we right to leave the gem there?
Well, at risk of harming yourselves, I feel like it was at least an advisable course of action you've taken.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Maybe you and your friends have some more artillery that you can deal with.
Yes, it was quite resistant to any spell power we were able to unleash upon it.
Kyle, you have
cantrip,
your
but it
book up
bounced
of,
right off.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Well, you could have learned quite a bit about them if you so chose. Forgot to open up a separate window.
Oh, I already know a lot, but Josephine knows little.
It's still a little window on mine, so it doesn't. I just happen to notice.
Yeah. If you ever see those mock-ups for UI where it's like scribbles,
Yeah.
that is essentially what I got out of it.
I could tell it was a book.
Well, either way, knowing that the magic is slotty in origin will allow me to perform my ritual accurately. I will probably need... Well, it is already the evening, so if I perform it before I rest, I should be able to tell you relatively where you need to go in the morning.
Well, we have 2 other things that we intended to do, but that would definitely be helpful.
And this is also nighttime, so we should stay anyways.
Yes. Swap notes.
All right. Well, feel free to make yourselves at home. The tent is mine, of course, but I will perform my ritual, and in the morning I will let you know where you're destined. Though, I would ask, Perhaps, before you do that, I could convince you to do something to help me in return. But we can broach that subject in the morning.
The spell that he's doing, is that to tell us where the city that we're looking for is, or was it for something else? I'm having trouble remembering here.
Well, what this will allow me to do is, as you can see here, he motions to Wackenrath behind him. This came from somewhere. It was not erected here. It fell. I assume...
Right, the flying city.
Yes, I assume that perhaps the place that me and my kind are looking for, and you and your kind are looking for, may be similar. Or at the very least, we can find where this came from by using this magical ley energy to point us in the right direction. But like a compass spinning endlessly in a circle, I needed to know which way was north. And thankfully, you've told me where south, east, and west are.
Indeed.
To put it in a more layman's description.
Well, if that's the case, I look forward to our discoveries tomorrow. Or-
As will I.
Yeah.
Well, he will leave your group and step about 10 feet away to begin assembling a ritual circle. Is there anything our party would like to do while they chill and or rest?
I think Thrag is practicing how to use the floating sword.
What's in my inventory?
If Dalamar, he'll offer to help set up the original ritual that he needs. Give any assistance he can there, however small it may be. But and then probably help Thrag and tell him these are the things that I learned from using this for a time.
I will cast aid on the party.
Aid.
Yes. If it comes into, if it becomes a problem, a little bit more bolstered, in case we are running into any danger in the evening. And after that's done, I think Josephine will just ready herself for the night.
Alright.
Get the tent set up, bedrolls out, food cooking. Being the
Excellent.
camp mom.
Alright. Well, if there's nothing else anyone wants to talk about, or if there's nothing anyone wants just to discuss or do, I will go ahead and move along to the next day. It is on the early morning, once all of you have awoken, that Dalamar will approach your group. He opens the tent flap of his lavish Sylvanesti tent and stretches in the early morning sun. Well, I hope you all rested well. I'm certainly excited for the discoveries that we have made over the night, and I wish to share them with you. The ritual was a success. He smiles proudly. My talents are infallible, it would seem. Now, I will tell you that. Well, do you have a map?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So I'm going to mark it for you.
Oh, please.
This will make it much easier to find it in the future when I may or may not be around. It is roughly in this space. Obviously, we are a considerable distance away. I'm not able to pinpoint it exactly without being able to lay eyes upon it, but the direction of the ley lines do not lie. They converge in that region. Wherever Wackenrath fell from, it is there.
What's the region name we got from Roan?
Roan will look at that area over Dalamar's shoulder. He'll say, "Ah, that's called the Giant's Spine. It is a large, large canyon. I've never traveled its length, so I suppose it's not a surprise that something," he looks at the tower, "big is buried there." Now, as to what I mentioned last night, I would ask for help in a matter. While I've been reading these ley lines, you've discovered these 3 significant sources of magic. Incredibly useful. There is still another source that eludes me. It's not related to Wackenrath or where it might have come from, but it is significant, and something I can't really ignore. I'm going to go figure out exactly what that is, but if you would help me, I would be incredibly grateful.
You have helped us quite a bit so far. I believe a favor in return is a necessary gesture.
I surely would appreciate it. That is far more easy to pinpoint than, wherever this other energy is coalescing. Here is where it appears to be.
Well, if you don't mind us taking 2 stops along the way.
Yes, we have promised to safely return our traveling companions to whence they came.
Companion. We only have one.
What
Indeed.
happened to the other?
She departed.
Where did she
Go
go?
ahead.
Back to her people.
From...
She went
We
back.
went south when we went west.
and we did not escort her.
She meant to head back to the shrine. Roan wishes to go back to his hometown.
I've been quite distracted on this journey. I did not notice her leaving. What to think about and all. Well, let us simply drop this one companion off then.
That would be lovely, thank you.
And then we will see to Dalinar's issue. What is it you want again, Dalinar?
There's a source of magic I can't quite put my finger on.
Right, we are simply identifying it. Okay.
And surely I'm not going to tell you how to dictate your priorities, but I think what I will do is head to that place myself. If it's truly a simple task, I will take care of it myself, and probably find a way to contact you. But if it's proving to be something a little more complex than that, and I would in fact need your help, I will stay for a time.
Understood. So you are scouting it out before us, then? You are going
Essentially,
first.
yes.
And then if there is issue, you will come to contact us in some manner?
Well, I suppose I'll wait for you to arrive. And
At
if
the location, that makes sense. Well, then I think we know what tasks we have ahead of us. A lot of feet to the ground, it would seem. Well, hoof to the ground. For as much of the journey as we can.
Do you have hooves?
Do we not have horses?
We do have horses.
We do
Mhm.
have horses,
Yes.
and horses have hooves.
Indeed.
which we've had 2 more breasts. that
I also
need
have
to
hooves.
deduct.
We will utilize them for as much of the journey, I imagine, as is logical.
We have 4 horses? Is that right?
Indeed, one for each of us.
Oh, it's at this point that Dalamar will approach each of you and offer you a firm handshake and his heartfelt thanks. I appreciate you helping me with my research, both for my own ends and my people's. I look forward to figuring out exactly what awaits us to the north, and I look forward to hearing what you find, well, at your mysterious city. Maybe even I'll meet you there. Who knows?
I will give
So,
him. Oh, go ahead.
So you know our plans at least. We're dropping Roan off at their city. Potentially heading to free another of their companions from a dragon army camp. And then we'll be heading straight to you. It's all... Only the first bit's out of the way, the rest will be on the way, so I don't imagine it taking too much time. If you have a way to mark something, you could leave a sign for us there. If you happen to leave.
He smiles. Perhaps I'll leave one of my wind elementals.
Hmm.
Please no.
Oh, they can be quite charming when they aren't instructed to attack you.
So, people looking at your boat should not be a trigger next time. Just a warning.
We did
No,
interact with the boat.
They were specifically I almost said programmed. They were specifically designed to attack anyone who touched the vessel.
I believe might have been me.
Well, have no fear. They weren't going to kill you outright, and no one died.
Luckily.
Had a bit of an adventure.
I will say goodbye to Dalinar in Elvish. Give him an Elvish greeting goodbye. Special situation since I know that stuff.
He will give you a half bow, smile, and return the gesture, also in Elvish, before he turns to begin breaking his camp.
As do we.
But you all do know the routine by now, I would assume. I need survival checks. And I need
Survival
D10s.
checks.
So, I noted that
Do I give a D10 too?
No.
we did the checks last time, but we didn't evaluate whether they did things.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys rolled really well, so
Okay.
you had your water and rations for the day.
Cool.
I caught a bear.
Oh, I accidentally didn't roll that one as a survival. That last one's a 26.
All right. So, your party will be able to navigate accurately today. Not only will you be able to find your way easily, you will have your... Oh, was that 10 for water?
Yep.
Okay. So, you will not find the water that you need for the day, but you will find enough food to manage. This being said, Laffy, you rolled 2 survival checks? One
yeah,
with advantage?
yeah,
Perfect.
because one was the one you You wanted 2 yesterday, so.
Yes. Thank you for doing that. Right. So you do know today that the wash will continue to be low and dry for the duration of the day.
So, do we have to spend a spell slot for water?
Yeah, I'll also spend a spell slot for water and refill our barrel.
Okay.
All right. So you will have water, and you won't have to worry about building exhaustion as a result of going without it. So, where would our party like to go? I believe your intent was to head to High Hunt to Heart's
Yes.
Hollow to return Rune.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We'll probably just go through the maze.
Yeah.
Pretty much straight
Navigating
shot.
through,
Yeah.
that is the quickest route. And you do know that the canyons are to be dry today, so it is safer now than it ever would be.
That seems fun.
Okay, you can move 4 squares. That would put you right in front of High Hunt. Do you want to push to go a little bit faster and get an additional square out of your day, or do you want to camp in the maze and then make your ascent the next day?
Believe we should strain the animals a little further. Camping
Yeah, it's
down
probably better to
here is
camp in town than
dangerous.
the maze.
We can rest a little bit longer if need be in this location to recover our strength.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, we would be more
Wrapping
than
up.
happy to help you there. Beds will be provided for, I'm sure, Rin says.
Oh, that would be divine.
At the very least, you can crash at my place.
If you still have a place.
I still have a place. I live there.
As far as you know, someone could...
As far as I know, I've only been gone for... Okay, so it's been a couple weeks, but nobody's going to sell my house. I own that.
Do you have any siblings or relatives? Maybe they'll move in.
Well, great. Then you can sleep next to Nana. It's still my house. And I imagine this playful argument takes up at least an hour of your day as you make your way to High Hunt, kicking it into high gear to get just a little bit extra speed halfway through the maze. Luckily, you don't have to spend the whole day at a breakneck fast pace, so there really aren't any consequences for this. Although you do, in fact, have a risk of attracting predators. Ooh, that's a new one. Hold up.
Hold on, that's a new one.
Okay. So, it is as you are making your way through the eastern maze that your party feels something. Elafi, this causes a degree of alarm in you. A tumultuous rumbling in the distance, something that you would have attributed to the returning of the waters, giving the wash its namesake, well earned. However, you don't see anything in the weather that would indicate that the rapids would be returning today. The rumblings are not lining up. And in fact, before your party can really come to a conclusion as to what to do about this earthquake-like vibration rolling through the walls and the floor of your feet, or at your feet, you will see clear down the way of the canyon this distant silhouette of a giant creature. One that is burrowing from one side of the canyon to the other. The shell of a purple worm-like beast. Giant inside. Incredible in scale.
Oh no, it's a purple worm. By observation.
Hiding, running, or hiding?
Do we want to fight the purple worm?
As it stands, the beast is burrowing from one wall to another, and is an incredible distance away. It is unlikely that it has spotted you or has anything to do with what your party is doing. It is merely just living its best life.
Living its worm life.
Oh. I can't in good conscience stop this vibing purple worm.
I don't even.
Fall.
I think not only in good conscience, but I think physically you can't stop this purple worm.
Worms are big.
I was gonna say, the best I can do is hide us for an hour.
Yeah, I think this is beyond us. This is
Let's just try to avoid it.
And
Gandalf
we
turns
don't-
and says, "Run!"
and we lack the bard that can seduce it. So
Yeah.
Purple worms are kind of dumb. I don't know if a bard can seduce it.
So if Frixus,
Many have died trying.
Frixus, if you have something that can hide us, now is the time.
Well, it is a mile away.
Well, do it now since it's coming our way.
No, it's not even coming our way. It's just like going through the wall.
It's not coming our way, Kyle?
Nope, it is merely burrowing from one side of the canyon to the other. It is not traveling down the canyon.
There is no danger. Never mind. Josephine is not. Does not say that then. If it's not burrowing straight towards us.
Let's keep going, and just
know
that my backup plan is if it comes at us, I'm gonna pull out a rope, and you're gonna go into the hole.
All right.
or we strike it.
Or we go in the hole and hide.
Yeah.
Yes, but it can
That
burrow it can burrow underground.
Do you see how large that is?
My depth perception is not as great as I'd like to admit.
It's also very far away.
No,
We can see it.
It may seem like it's not, but that's how large it is.
That's the size of a building. That's not possible.
No, you guys don't get it. How many range attacks could you make over a mile?
Fire my sniper spell.
Oh, I don't know. Some warlock builds can fire that far.
I am not one of those warlocks.
I'm not that kind of warlock.
The best I can do is take the crossbow bolts that we used already in the forge temple.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, we'll just keep going. If it starts coming our way and gets close, we'll do the backup plan.
1,200 feet is the furthest you can go.
That's like a third of a mile,
Yeah, it's pretty close.
quarter of a mile.
That's not bad.
3 levels of sorcerer for distance spell meta magic. Tossed your EB to 1,200 feet. That's so stupid. Incredible.
I'm just imagining like you hit by an eldritch bolt. Where from? Eh?
I don't know, God.
Oh, meteor swarm can go 2 miles. Forgot how far meteor swarm is, but that's a high level. It doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, that's like 9th level, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So, our players continue along their way, choosing not to engage with the purple worm, and begin your ascent towards the plateau of High Hunt. It is as you are making this ascent, winding up various natural switchbacks and climbing up easily traversable climbing walls, you hear the echo of someone on the wind. Fuck! And followed immediately by nondescript cursing and complaining.
Oh, the birds in this region are so majestic.
Rune will look curiously ahead. Hey, I think that was Klistrin. Is anyone out there? I could use a hand.
Can I see where the
A
voice
voice.
is coming from?
Voice echoes from the cliffs around the corner. Josephine, you make your way there easily enough, and you see that there is, in fact, an individual in need of help. Supposedly, Klistrin is hanging upside down, suspended by a apparatus at his waist, tied to a rope which is secured on a cliff's edge 50 feet above him. He is completely suspended, swinging his arms and legs, trying his best to get a handhold, but failing. When he sees you round the corner, he says, Stranger, I mean you no harm. I am in peril. Would you be able to... He motions as he flails through the air, swinging left and right. Help a fellow out.
How high up is he?
He is currently 30 feet up above the ground, attached to a rope that is secured 50 feet above where he is.
So he's above me.
Yes, he's 30 feet above you.
Oh, dear.
Wouldn't have to know a spell, rope, or simply just climb up and get me.
Magic's pretty rare.
Yes, but so are travelers out here. I couldn't help but hedge my bets.
I have a number of ways we could help here.
Yes, I don't believe I have anything in my arsenal.
Stay within drag.
Bring someone down.
Well, how much do you care about the rope?
It's just a rope, but I do care quite a bit about it if I'm attached to it.
If I
Well,
cast...
I can break the rope and make sure you fall safely, or... I'll just do this.
Wait, Frixus, I'll cast Sanctuary on him and the ground will have to target someone else.
Problem with that is gravity might have to target someone else too.
So stupid.
This one's... Feather falls free. So I will try... Yeah, I'm gonna try to break the rope, and then I'll catch you.
All right. You sure?
Or I could simply pull him up. I think I'm strong enough.
We're up below, not above.
Oh, never mind.
So I'm gonna try to Eldritch Blast the rope, and then I'll Feather Fall him when he's free.
Yeah.
Is
All right.
the plan.
just
All
make
right.
sure you do it just before he hits the ground. Make it a
All
fun
right.
ride.
So, is that the plan the party wants to go with?
Seems like a
Sounds
decent plan.
Better than anything I can do, unfortunately, without persuading the ground.
Or wait,
Alright.
did you say he was attached to an apparatus or something?
The rope is
Yes, he
attached.
has a climbing rig on his belt that attaches him to
Oh, okay.
Just cut the rope if you're good.
Yeah. Same plan.
Okay. So, Clistrin will see you pointing up at the rope above him, and he'll say, "Well, hey, what are you doing? You're casting a spell, right? Like it's just gonna get me down."
It's going to break the rope, and then it'll catch you with a different spell.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing to fear, stranger.
He's done this
Ones
times
of times.
before.
Our companions are well trusted. We have your best in mind.
Alright,
Josephine, you're on standby, right?
Oh,
Stand by.
yes, I imagine I'll be able to fix any broken bones, shattered femurs, lacerations, if we have the causes.
I'm sorry, the blood appears to be rushing to my head. I couldn't quite make that out. Broken what?
Fire Eldritch Blow.
Don't worry about it.
Alright, the bolt goes off, severing the rope. Ah! He
Feather
gets
fall.
to fall, and feather fall. And poof, he gently falls to the ground, landing ass first in a soft poof of air.
I imagine it more of a fall, feather fall.
Look at that.
Oh. Well, that's certainly frightening. Thank you. And hey, Saru. He looks past your group. Rune? Where the fuck have you been? Oh, Clistrin, I have a tale for you, my friend. First off, stay away from the dragon army. Well, yes, of course you stay away from an army. Nobody marches up here and has anything good to do. But Clistrin stands up and brushes some dust off his pants. He walks over to Phrixus and offers a hand. Thank you, truly. I don't know how long I would have hung there.
May I ask how or why it is you found yourself in that predicament?
Pleasure to meet you.
Oh, well, I was really just looking for food. There's a few plants that grow on the cliffs around here that are reliable for, at least their roots. But, unfortunately, I got a little overconfident and perhaps was just hoping I could speed things along so I could do something for myself today. But, Rune, you're here with some strangers. I assume you're taking them to Hollow. Yeah, they saved me from, well, slavers, it turns out. They've been capturing people and forcing them to do digging. What? Why would they be digging? And what are they digging for? And did they find anything dragony? No, they haven't found any dragons, Clistrin. Jesus. There aren't any dragons. They're just a myth.
Well, what about wyverns? Do they count? Wyverns count, right?
Well, I mean, Clistrin says, dragonelles are beautiful, but no, they're not dragons, really. Maybe distant ancestors, but proof enough that they exist. And I will find
the smaller ones that shape like people and explode.
Yeah, that.
I assume you must mean those dragon-like men I've seen marching with the red dragons.
They explode.
They explode, do they? Like,
Different color with a different way.
Just haphazardly? They just
No.
you'll be eating dinner with them and then they just pop?
When you kill them.
No.
That's pretty much my only interaction with them so far, though. So
Hardly the diplomatic sort, but considering who we're talking about, I can't really blame you. But if you're heading to the Hollow, it is rather late. I don't recommend sleeping out here. I'm sure Rune could have led you, but I'd be happy to accompany you.
Well, that is the direction we are heading, returning Rune home.
Excellent. Well, he walks over to a large stone that apparently was obfuscating the view of his sack. He pulls up a large backpack and hoists it over his shoulders. You can see that it is stuffed to the brim with what appear to be various rooty tubers and other edibles. But not edibles, just, things you could eat for
Oh,
sustenance.
man! Push him off the cliff. Useless.
Useless. Should have made brownie. But yeah, Klistrin and Rune will guide you up the rest of the way to Heart's Hollow. It is as you're making your way up that Klistrin asks you no end of questions. So, where are you from exactly? Nobody travels up here, so you must be looking for something, yes?
Oh, we're from all over, but primarily heading from
Kalama.
Palama, that's correct. Heading out to pursue someone that was heading to a place called the City of Lost Names. Don't know where that is, trying to find it.
Rune pipes in. Apparently, it's in the giant's spine.
It might be in the giant spine.
It might
That
be
is-
in the giant's spine.
That is the best lead we have right now.
Oh, well, if I were to imagine someplace hiding anything, giant spine definitely is large enough to do it. It's far outside of my reach, though. And, well, I suppose it would explain all of those Dragonelle riders I've been seeing.
Ah, Dragonelle riders out there?
Yes, I've seen men riding them. Never thought to try it myself, but there's whole swarms of them in the northern skies. They're easy enough to see at night.
That is unfortunate for us.
Well, luckily you do have some good fortune coming to you, although Heart's Hollow can be a little cold to strangers. I'm sure they'll be more than accommodating with, well, myself and Rune vouching for you. You could get some warm food and someplace soft to sleep for the night.
More than we've had for a while.
Excellent. And it's the least I could do because you certainly saved me a literal headache. And is there anything you want to say or ask Clayton before we make it to Heart's Hollow?
Oh, yes. Josephine has a quick question. Celestine, I am what was his name again?
Not Clayton. It was Klistrin.
Klistrin. That's right. Klistrin, I am a certified healer and priest, well practiced. Do you know if anyone in Heart's Hollow is in need of such services? Perhaps I can warm the hearts of these people by providing something they don't normally have. I can perform ceremonies, funeral rites, and even heal the sick, wounded, diseased.
Well, no one has passed away recently, so there's no funerals to be performed, but
Perhaps a
I know there are a
marriage.
few people who are sick. If you would be able to do such a thing, I have never seen such things worked myself. Do you mean perhaps that you have some medicine on you that you could use? Something that we
Oh,
might not
just
have?
you wait.
In a way,
Well, I'm sure someone would be happy to trade for it.
my
Is
services are not for trade. They are done out of my service to my god, Mishako, the Lady of Compassion.
Oh, I think I have heard of her. Didn't she leave like everyone else?
I am
I was
still
told they left.
here, and so she is as well.
Now, that's what I would have thought had I not seen all of the things that you've done. So,
Well,
I,
her,
as a skeptic, would let you know that she is the real deal.
where her clerics walk the earth, her presence is ever there. So if you could direct me towards those who are in need of my services, I would quite enjoy being able to provide them.
Well, sure. If you can truly do what you say, there's more than a few people who would benefit from such a thing.
I'm also certified to wed people under Mishkol's name, if there are any who need such services as well.
Well, if there are, it's none of my business.
Do you have a leader in this small village, town, camp?
We do. I can introduce you to Nezro when we get up there.
I'm sure they would be able to inform me.
She would know, probably. She's very personable. I've known her since I was born here, and she's always been a kind person, very knowledgeable, takes care of the community. Kind of what you would want in, I suppose, a mayor.
Understood.
That's good to hear. Seems you all have made quite a life for yourselves out here in the middle of the wastes.
Rune pipes in. Yes, we do what we can. Generally, we keep to ourselves, and that has allowed us the safety and autonomy that allows. Normally, I probably would have been scolded by Nezra to just bring you there without knowing more of you, but you seem like upright folks. I'm sure she wouldn't take issue. Clistrin interrupts. Well, no, she's not going to take issue. I mean, if they saved you from a slave camp, for crying out loud, and, well, at the very least helped me down from a cliff, more than speaks to their character.
Now let us go meet your mayor. Or at least you can direct me to them.
Yeah, and is on your way up that you then begin your way down. You reach the top of the plateau.
Perfect.
You reach the top of the plateau and see that at its center there is a large indentation. He takes you over towards its edge, and you see it is actually a spiraling, descending stairwell that proceeds down into the plateau. About 300 feet down, where the sunlight is beginning to escape from the edge of the plateau, casting these huge silhouetted lines of light. You can see the fires of many homes and windows there appears to be a town built onto this spiraling, descending stairwell.
Whoa.
Let me give you a picture.
You got a picture?
Ooh.
Yes.
Pictures? Wow, that's fancy.
I know. Kinda. Okay.
Ooh.
On our way up, I am talking to the guy too, and letting him know that I am not licensed to wed by my god, and
Well, yours is not the god of love, so I can imagine that would be the case.
I might be.
Perhaps. I think
How
it matters in
far?
the context of the marriage.
I will ask either of the people with us, how far down does that go?
Well, as you and your party begin your descent, I don't think anybody has ever managed to go all the way down. Certainly, it's not something that's encouraged. And once the pathways descend into the deepest docks, I mean, it's dangerous down there where you can't see.
That's
But
fair.
Nothing has ever come up the stairs, and there hasn't really been any need to delve it. It's just been a nice, safe place. Nezra said that when she settled here, it was, quiet, and, well, over the years, people just ventured to and then settled in. I think Nezra said that her great-great-grandmother founded the town? Officially? I'm not sure.
Interesting.
But yes, you're welcome to make yourselves at home and consider this place a haven for while you're traveling out here. Once I've spoken to Nezra, and sure, perhaps you could be given a home or someplace you could crash for the night.
That would be wonderful. We've been sleeping in tents for better part of a couple of weeks now,
Oh, wow.
or a couple of 10 days, I guess.
And how have you managed? Normally, the predators out there they could be quite violent.
Well, we've had some fortunate blessings, and
Rag here fought off a purple worm.
I did.
we've at least been able to avoid the majority of them.
This is gonna come around to bite us in the ass later.
Okay.
And this is
So-
a mostly human settlement?
As
Or
you
is
make
it
your way into the town, you see that the people here are various humans as well as kinder and dwarves.
Very good.
And it is on your way down as Glistrin makes his way towards what you assume to be Nezra's place. You take note that you are walking on a strangely paved path. It is a steady descent around the rim of this giant column of empty space descending into the plateau. And the stonework itself appears to be beautifully laid stonework of varying color and design. It casts a beautiful mosaic-like floor pattern as you make your way through the town. Every step landing on a different sized, shaped, and colored stone. It is as you note this that Clistrin begins to talk of that subject. He says, "So, I don't know when the tradition actually started, but every person who's accepted here, or the community invites to stay, they are invited to add their stone to the mosaic, which is call it, and that way the path continues to grow. And Nezra says it's like a record and history of everyone who's lived here, and it will be a record of everybody who comes after." And
Where is your stone?
Oh, mine is quite a ways down. I mean, it can only really go one way.
This is true.
But I thought it was rather fun to travel down there and place my stone. I imagine we'll carve more houses as we need them. It is as he says that you note that although there are some homes built onto the edges or on man-made plateaus and walkways, a lot of the town's buildings are built straight into the wall, carved by hand and excavated, in some cases very well. You imagine the dwarves must have had a hand. Or perhaps the kinder.
Upon walking in and seeing the dwarven architecture and maybe dwarves around, Frixus is gonna reach up and tap the back of his sword and dismiss it so it goes into a what is it? Other dimension space, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just gonna dismiss his sword.
Will do.
It's a very fascinating tradition. You say this looks like dwarven stonework carved into these homes.
Yes, I do imagine more than a few dwarven families have been living here longer than Ezra. But, I think a few of these have been carved out by humans as well. If I'm to believe all of the fairy tales, all of these buildings were built after Nezra's grandmother or great-grandmother arrived. But I suppose you could say that everyone here owes a tale of misfortune that eventually led them here. I know I was orphaned myself, and Nezra found me, and so I have a place here now as well. She says that if we ever find people who are lost or abandoned, that we bring them so that they can make a new home here.
What you're doing here is wonderful. Making a community out of a place so hostile. It is warming to my heart to see so many people banding together in community.
Oh, Nezra's gonna like you.
As I imagine I will like her.
And it does take a surprising amount of time to get to where Clistrin is leading you. Although you can realistically see the destination you're traveling to, the fact that you have to walk all the way around the periphery of the column makes travel time surprising in its length. Now, it is as you are reaching what Clistrin refers to as Breakwater Landing. He points out a building suspended on large ropes. It is suspended in such a way that it is entirely suspended by these ropes. So it's just like hanging over the corner. I don't know if you can see
I can see it.
the names.
I can see the
Okay.
names, but I can see the roped
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is a 3-story building that Clistrom points out called the Salt Lick. He says if you ever need somewhere to eat or carouse, well, that would be the Salt Lick.
Is
As
it
well,
safe with those ropes?
you know,
Like
It has a-
precariously
It
placed.
has a carrying capacity on the side.
you would think to be worried about it, but those cords are incredibly strong. That building has been there since I was, or have been here, rather, and never once has it faltered in any way. So it is terrifying to behold.
Indeed. Very
Name's a little
interesting, though.
racist too.
But be that as it may, that is also where we should find Nezra. She hangs out there most of the time, and some people choose to call the Salt Lick the mayor's office as a result.
Interesting.
A woman of the people.
If it's
Well,
completely suspended, how do you get down to it?
Oh, well, he points to one of the cords, and you can see that there's actually a bridge that has been built over the top of it. You just take the bridge, of course.
I didn't see that. That's only mildly terrifying.
Well, don't worry. It's traveled every day, so if anything was going to happen, it would have happened decades ago.
That's fair.
Or tomorrow.
Oh, and I did see, as you begin crossing the terrifying rope bridge, I did see that, well, to my benefit, there are some mages amongst you. He points way across the way towards the tower-like building that stands at the end of a long walkway. That is Lavender's. We have a magician there who practices magic, so if you need any supplies or wish to talk to one of your own profession, well, I'm sure Jaws would be happy to entertain.
I've been meaning to pick something up. I'll check in and see if they might have it. But at least, go chat.
And just as you're making your way to the end of the rope bridge, you can hear the sound of tavern music leaking through the walls and windows, and more than a few people enjoying what must be a mirthful evening therein. Let me get us some suitable music. Now, you enter the tavern and see that this is what you probably didn't expect to find way out here in the wilderness. An honest-to-God's tavern. There are various tables and chairs strewn about the building, all of which bear a bottom of some size or another, and people enjoying, well, warm and pleasant food and company. You see that there is a middle-aged woman at the center of a large collection of people, in the middle of telling a fanciful tale of some sort, judging by the rapt attention they all pay her. Though it is as our party takes in this sight, I would like to ask our group, what do we think the Salt Lick looks like on the inside?
I think, the patterns on the roads, the colorful. I think that would be a big motif in there.
I think
So
it
you think
looks... Go ahead.
Oh, so I would say you think it has a lot of colorful decorations?
Yeah, like matching the roads.
Probably a large amount of windows looking out over the city across from it, but also down into the pit if you look.
I imagine there's at least one balcony-ish thing near the middle, balcony hole essentially near the middle where you can actually look down as well.
Oh, nice. So the Salt Lick is almost similar to Heart's Hollow in that the inn is arrayed around a hole in the middle where you can kind of just peer down. I think that's pretty cool. Lots of colorful painted wood and decorations that mimic the mosaic that you've been walking on the whole way down. Awesome. But that is where we will see Clistrin elbowing and sliding his way amongst tables and between people to introduce you to Nezra. And it is after making his way through the crowd with you on his tail that he will slip in as Nezra finishes her story, smiling and beaming at the community arrayed around her. She will see Clistrin and turn her attention towards him, the smile fading ever so slightly as she lays eyes on complete strangers. The assembly around her disperses, returning to their own jubilance, and you will hear Nezra speak, both to Clistrin and to all of you. Well, I certainly expected to see Clistrin here tonight, but I will say I am surprised to see a party of adventurers. It's a rarity these days. I assume you must be weary from the road. I can see the dust caked on you. How about you join me? I assume that is why Clistrin has brought you here.
Indeed, but I believe we have someone to return to their home.
Oh,
He'll motion to Roan.
Roan, is that you I see behind them? He slides between Josephine and Phrixus to be at the front of the party. You imagine if he had a hat, it would be clenched in both of his hands and he'd be wringing it nervously. Yes, that's me. Roan, you've been away for a while. Are you all right? I'm no worse for wear. I didn't plan to bug you, Nezra. I was just going to make my way home. Well, she smiles. If you were going to do that, I imagine you could have just slipped away on your way. But here you are. Perhaps your conscience led you here. He shuffles his feet nervously. I can tell you've been through an ordeal, so I'm not going to pressure you. I will, however, remind you that although it is appreciated what you were trying to do to help Clistrin, it was far too soon for you to be venturing out by yourself. Though I fear what may have befallen you, I'm happy to see that you are still safe. I won't lecture you on how dangerous it was, what you decided to do. But she stands up and she walks over to him. I am happy to see that you made it safely home. She puts her hands on his shoulders and gives him a hug. You see that nervousness wash away from him, sinking into the floor, the colorful floorboards of the Salt Lick, and dropping into the pit below. When she leaves the embrace and gently pats his shoulders with a smile, you see that nervousness is completely gone, and Rune gives her an ear-to-ear grin. Yeah, I won't be making that mistake again. Sorry, Nezra. Thank you for being understanding. I'm gonna go and see if Mom needs anything from me. I kind of haven't done my chores for a few weeks. No, you haven't. She'll smile and then take a step back. Be off with you. I know Marion has certainly been eager to hear of your return, and I think if her son told her, she would be far happier. He nods, smiles, turns on his heels, and begins to leave, but before he does fully depart, he says, he turns to Josephine. I don't have money on me, but I'll find you if you're staying here. I just need to get back home and talk to my mom.
Money? For what?
I said I could pay you when you brought me back.
Oh. You will owe me nothing. For them, perhaps. But my services are done to you out of compassion, my friend.
Well, right. Well then, he turns to Phrixus. I assume you're staying here. I'll bring you something tomorrow then.
There is no rush. And probably not the full amount that you told us is fine. I will probably just see what I need and then go from there. How about that?
Sure. And maybe if you do need something from Lavender's, I can just cover your tab for you. But I will talk to you tomorrow. And he bounds off to return home. As you turn your attention back to Nezra, she has seated herself back at the table and, with a warm smile, motions towards the empty chairs arrayed around her, having been abandoned by her previous crowd of eager listeners. Please sit. Yes. She'll turn towards the bar at her back and she'll wave a hand. Please, on my tab, get them all some rooted wine, and I'm assuming something to eat.
That would be wonderful.
Water for me will suffice, thank you.
Water and wine and something to eat. She'll turn her attention back to your party. So, and Clayton, Klistrin also sits with you. Tell me, what brings you all the way to Heart's Hollow?
To return your lost son of your town, Rune.
That was the primary reason we came here. Was simply to deliver him home. We came across him in a camp that we were investigating, and he was not in a great way, and told us where he was from, and we escorted him back. That was our primary purpose in coming here.
Oh, I must say, it does feel as though fate drew us to this place. What you have done here, Nezra, is beautiful. May I introduce myself properly to you?
Feel welcome to.
I am Josephine of the Quellanesti. I look to my other companions to introduce themselves.
I am Thrag, Solemnic Knight in training.
My name is Richard Ashcrest. Pleasure.
And I am Alafi. Apparently their guide, it would seem.
An excellent one, in fact.
Truly an interesting collection of adventurers I have set before me.
Yes, we come from Kalaman, in search of a fugitive, somewhere hiding in these lands.
I see. That would explain why you were investigating strange ruins out in the wastes.
The person we follow is of a dark nature. We are unsure of their intent here in the wastes, but finding them is a prevalent mission of ours. But it is good to see life flourishing out here in the wastes, regardless of its ruined state. I'm sure the ancestors of the Sylvanesti, Quellinesti, and others would be smiling down upon this place if they were to see it.
It is kind of you to say so. I'm sure my mother and her mother would be proud to hear what some new arrivals have to say about our little sanctuary. I would like to express that although you have done some wonderful good for those who live here so far, to keep this location from others that you might come across.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I certainly have no way to compel you to that action, but one of the reasons why this community has thrived as it has is because those who are allowed to stay here care about its community.
You have my word as a cleric of Mishakul that this location will never leave my lips.
Well, that's a name I haven't heard in a long while.
I come to bring her light to the dark places of the world. Compassion where there is none, though I see there is much here. I offer healing and aid in whatever way possible. If you have sick, wounded, dying, or dead, I may be of some assistance to you. Please accept my services of no charge. Our time here may be short, but I would like to help where I can.
You see that she wears a welcoming and warm expression, but her eyes study you with a sharpness about them. I would love to see what of Mishakul's work you could bring to the Hollow. There are more than a few here who are in fact sick in some way or another. Many of them will heal in time thanks to Lavender, but some of them are afflicted more chronically than most.
Yes.
I would be happy to show them to you. But I think you should rest for now. And perhaps tomorrow. I can certainly reach out to the families and let them know that help will be coming in the morrow.
Indeed, if that is what is preferred. I don't want to disturb people in the middle of the night, lest their need be dire.
Well, have no fear. No one is at the edge of death or in dire straits. They can certainly wait. At least for you to catch some rest.
Understood. And please, my other companions, if they wish to speak.
And I encourage that you do. It's so rare that I get to hear from those outside of the wastes. Especially, she looks to Thrag and Alafi, those of an even farther land. I haven't seen either of your kind in the wastes, well, since I can remember, since I was but a wee girl.
You've seen my kind.
Oh, not recently, no.
Very rare in these lands.
Exceedingly so.
I only knew of my father.
I see. And you're a knight in training as well?
Indeed. Kind of straightens himself up.
Although I know that your orders have earned themselves a not entirely favorable reputation, I do appreciate what you stand for. And although I am aware of how the world at large tends to treat your order, you should fear none of it here.
Well, thank you for your hospitality. I am sure the knights will, my fellow knights will thank you. I'll be grateful.
There's no need for them to be grateful, as hopefully you won't be talking to them about our hospitality here. She smiles.
Oh. He gives a sly wink.
She gives you a playful wink in return. But you said you are here looking for some nefarious individual. I am happy to report that their shadow has not darkened our doorstep. Although I cannot help you find this person as a result.
The direction they were heading was a city of lost names, they called it. But, that was all the information we had and made our way out here. So, wasn't expecting to find them here, and you would, I believe, know if they were here. They leave quite the trail of unpleasantness. So, I am glad to see that we are not on the correct trail at the moment.
As am I. I haven't heard much of these dragon army individuals, but what I do hear is not pleasant, especially after what poor Rune seems to have gone through. He certainly does appear to be, well, he's too young to be experiencing such things. Clistrin has even informed me that he's seen, apparently, riders in the sky to the north, far too close to the hollow for comfort. I do think that, or rather I would guess, if your nefarious prey is anywhere, it would probably be there.
That is our current best lead, so that is the direction we intend to start heading. I think we have one other stop on the way. There's a camp, we believe, northeast of here of them. We met a few of the sea elves as well, and as a favor for them, we were going to look and see if one of their leaders were captured there as well.
Oh, I think that would make sense, Clistrin pipes up. I have seen a lot of those riders flying to and fro in that direction. They must have some kind of camp out that way.
Groan mentioned that's where he was taken, so at one point. But so there may be others of this city there as well, but we'll see. what we can do.
I would hate to hear that more have gone missing as a result of them. I don't think anybody has come forward to me to express that theirs have gone missing. Furthermore, I'm rather alarmed to hear that individuals such as them are camped so close. Even though Rune traveled far beyond where he should, if he were captured by those people that close to the Hollow, she, for the first time, her warm demeanor takes a turn towards a sour one. Perhaps, I know you're already planning to go there, but if you could, let me know what exactly is transpiring out there. I would hate to have to make ready for it, but if the need be, I would like to know what I have to defend against. If they decide to explore further south and, God forbid, discover the Hollow thanks to those winged riders of theirs.
Oh. I told you we were from... or someone told you we were from Kalaman earlier, right? Their attacks, they're spreading all over the world. So if you're intending to resist them if they come here, I will do whatever in my power to give you the information that I can give. I fought many of them in battle and have tactical information I can pass on. But one of the unfortunate parts of this city, because of their riders, would be if they happen to pass over and see. They could also fly down to any part of this, so that would be unfortunate.
It would. Part of the advantage of this home my mother set out for us was the fact that only a dragon could seemingly find this place, perched on a plateau and dug into a hole as it is.
It's definitely an advantage, but sooner or later, if they're flying so close.
She nods her head silently and does not verbally agree.
I will make some copies of my notes and make sure that you have them before we leave. And we'll do what we can while we're there to create chaos in the opposite direction.
Just don't put yourselves out. Not for our expense. I appreciate the gesture, but take care of yourselves before worrying about us. We've been fine for generations, and I imagine we will continue to be just fine.
I truly hope that the change that's hitting the rest of the world can remain separate from the isolation you have here.
Well, I do believe that is enough serious talk for me this evening. I will certainly see all of you in the morning. She turns to Josephine. And to show you where the most good could be done. But I do encourage you to rest. And to do so, she turns towards the keeper of the inn. Give them a room for me, yes? Somewhere they can stay for the night. You will be resting here, by the way.
I was hoping to.
Good.
You can pay if needed.
That will not be necessary. Your first night here is on the house. And then she stands up and puts her hands on her hips, stretching as if sitting in the chair had caused her back to tighten up. And she smiles warmly at all of you. There are things I need to see done before she looks up at the sky, even though it is 2 floors separated from her, even though it's as late as it is. But you have a place here to stay. You have warm food on your table. I hope that you enjoy yourselves here, and thank you again on Clistrin and Rune's behalf, and I'm sure on their families' behalves. We could not be more thankful.
Happy to help.
'Tis my duty.
And with that, she'll take a step and give all of you a courteous curtsy before stepping away and sliding out into the crowd. A small collection of people following her with various questions, leaving all of you to your privacy at this large round table you've been sat upon. Clistrin will stand up, thank all of you for rescuing him from his hanging perils, and depart as well. Is there anything our party wishes to discuss before they retire for the night? Or would you like to travel around the city?
While we're sitting at the table, are we mostly out of earshot from people at this point, or
There
people
are
still watching us?
Nobody's watching you intently. You are surrounded by people, but there's so much noise that it would be difficult for anybody to hear any single conversation they weren't participating in.
So Phrixus is gonna lean over to Olafi and say, "This may be a time where we want to forget that we are here." And he's gonna kind of point at the black robe that she has, or the insignia of on the pouch or whatever. I forget which one you took.
Oh, I'm definitely black robe, but no, I wear all 3 colors. But yeah, I have the insignia somewhere on me, I'm sure.
Yep. He'll gesture towards that. Nobody's creating trouble here.
This place is a miracle. Truly. I'm astounded by what they built here.
Yes, better to just let it live in peace.
Well, it's been some time since I've slept in a bed.
Indeed.
Believe we have all earned ourselves quite the rest.
I agree. I'm quite tired.
It's the last thing I expected, to find a town in the middle of this place, thriving and surviving.
Indeed. I'm interested in their economy here too. He said he had a lot of gold to potentially give us, but I imagine a place like this might work more in a barter system,
Perhaps
being as closed off as they are. But we'll see.
it is enjoyable
It's-
after all my years to still be surprised, I will say that.
Currency is convenience.
Yes, I do wonder where they get their food and their water. But they are here, so it must come somehow.
Indeed. We can do. There are other things we can do for them before we leave.
Maybe it comes out of the pit.
Perhaps. Many questions to ask, I imagine, but I will be helping the people of this town in my faith. I imagine each of you will have things you would want to investigate or discover for yourself, but let us not forget our purpose and stay here too long. We must get back to business.
Agreed.
That's the case. I may walk over to this Lavender's to see if they might have an undead eyeball encrusted in a gemstone.
If I am to help people here, I should stay at least 2 nights, and then leave on the 3rd day.
2 nights.
Tomorrow, I would expend much of my power to help those in need, and I would need another day for us to leave safely, if you wish me to use my power to assure our party.
I see. That seems like a fine idea.
A full recovery would be good for the horses as well.
That's a good point.
They've been traveling quite a bit. More than
We
we
did
have.
push them today.
Indeed. Is there a stable in which they can be placed? We didn't ask. I'm sure someone here would direct us.
You didn't see a stable on your way down, and you definitely have not seen many horses or animals that would necessitate such. But
Even more
you
than
imagine
draws
you could find a
attention.
place for them to hang out for an evening.
Okay. Even more attention to draw with only people with horses. Yeah, I think with that, if there isn't any more development in conversation, Josephine would take to rest.
All right. Is there anything else our party wished to do before resting? I know, Jacob, you mentioned going to Lavender's. Is that something you wanted to do in the evening or wait for the next day?
I can wait for the next day. If
All
we're
right.
gonna stay 2 days, might as well do that the next day. Excuse me. The only other thing Frixus would do, when we get our rooms for the night, are they situated on the bottom floor, or is it like second, third floor is...
It would appear... Actually, where do you guys think they would be?
I don't know. Because it could be either way, with like the general area on the top or the bottom. I feel like. Well, we said there was a hole through to the bottom.
Yeah, I
There,
imagine
so
that the
that
general
feels like
area's
the
on the
bottom.
bottom.
So then rooms up above.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
All right. Yeah, and you could see that looking upwards, there would even be an open style middle area that has balconies from the rooms that look out onto the floor, the common floor of the inn, and down into the pit itself. So you can see 5 or 6 different rooms from where you're currently sitting, or at least their balconies. And that is where you all will be staying.
Nice. This being as suspended as it is, like looking across the hole to the other side where it's spiraling down, is this lower than the lowest point of the city?
No.
Okay.
No, you can see that the path winds for many more floors as it continues to go down.
I think at some point Frixus will probably the next day try to go to the like end of the city and look down and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be an adventure for sure.
can see about 120 feet down, so that's a thing.
Or you could just pull a Baldur's Gate, cast Featherfall on yourself, and then just jump over the edge and see what happens.
You want to do that last.
Yeah.
You do the feather fall right before you hit the ground.
Gotta see the ground coming, that's all. You got that 120 feet.
I don't know if that would be a good idea.
Well, Featherfall has the problem of it doesn't last forever.
Well, I mean, you definitely, if you safely make it to the bottom, your real problem is getting back to the top. That's the issue.
Well, was there anything Thrag or Elafi would like to do before their characters retire for the evening?
No.
No.
Well, all right then. It is 10:30, so I think this is an excellent spot for us to pause our session, at least until next week, where we will return and spend our relaxing day here at Heart's Hollow before departing to venture out to Camp Carrion Clay. For now, though, it has been a pleasure having you all here. I have enjoyed hosting for all of you once again. It's good to be back. And I look forward to seeing you all for our next session. And until then, bye!
Bye!